If I wanted you to stay stuck at 5K a month in 2026 and needed an evil plan, this is exactly what I'd do. You see, I've spent the last decade watching coaches grind themselves into the same plateau, and most of them are following the same 6 point playbook to get there. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through every single one of them. And if you recognize yourself in any of it, then that's kind of the point. But here's what I mean. Most coaches who've been stuck between 3, 5, 10K a month for the last 6 to 12 months aren't stuck because they're not good enough. They're stuck because someone, a mentor, a course, a thread on Instagram gave them a framework that was built for a market that no longer exists. And they've been running it faithfully ever since. See, I've closed over 6 million in high ticket deals, and I've built sales systems for companies doing multiple 7 figures. But the thing every one of those businesses had in common wasn't hustle, it was structure, it was systems, it was predictability. So let me show you what the opposite of that actually looks like. But before we actually dive in, if you really don't want to fall for this master plan, you can actually go grab a free 6 part mini course in the description, which is the exact sales system my clients use that has generated 5 figure jumps in revenue in just 60 days. It's called the Anti-High Ticket Funnel, and you'll find the link below this video in the description somewhere. Anyway, the first thing I do is just to simply tell you to be more consistent. Show up every day, post more reels, more carousels, more stories. And when leads slow down, just go into the DMs again. Send more volume, 50 a day, 100 a day, but only if you're serious. Why would I even tell you to do this if I wanted to keep you stuck? It's because it burns you out without building anything that actually compounds. Every pound you make requires a manual action from you that day. You can't have a slow week, you can't get ill, and you can't take a holiday without watching your pipeline drain. And here's the thing that nobody actually tells you. The market has seen that DM opener. They know what's coming before you even hit send. Response rates are down, and I know you're aware of it. Ghosting is way on the up. The coaches still banking on this model are posting more, getting less, and blaming the algorithm. Let's be honest, 6 to 12 months ago, people would just respond to you quite nicely in the DMs and you could have a conversation and move them towards a call. But the problem is you're booking a lot less sales calls currently, and it's starting to get frustrating. And it's starting to make you feel like this business isn't really going to go in the direction that you want it to go in. So let's look at number 2, the tactic that would just solve all of these problems instantly. And that is just to simply hire an appointment setter. Of course it is. So when the DMs stop converting, or you've got too many DMs that you really can't, you're struggling to kind of manage, this is what I tell you to do next. You just need someone to do them for you. Just hire a setter, pay them a commission, let them handle the outreach while you just focus on coaching. You'll typically have a broccoli haired Chad in your DMs that will say things like, "Hey, bro, are you looking for a commission based appointment setter?" And you're thinking, you know what? I am. But here's what actually happens: your setter books calls low on quality, people who have half agreed to a conversation and then forgot why they were there in the first place. Your show rate drops, your close rate drops, and now you're spending time managing somebody else's activity. You're training them, you're checking in, you're re-explaining your offer, all while the fundamental problem, which is your positioning and your pre-call relationship with leads, just hasn't been touched. Listen, I've worked with multiple teams, I've worked with multiple coaches that have had multiple setters, burned for a lot of cash, a lot of energy, and a lot of time. The problem that you aren't realizing that it actually creates is that right now every interaction with your audience is so valuable. An appointment setter can ultimately destroy it. That's where you really will burn through your leads. But hey, if that happens, I have got the perfect fix for you in my next tactic for my master plan, and you'll have never seen this coming. I would get you to simply pay an agency to run ads for you. Boom, job done. It's sorted. So when your organic isn't really getting done anymore, you've burnt through your audience, I just tell you to go paid. Find an agency and let the professionals handle it. They'll have a retainer, they'll have some case studies on a nice website and a 3 month runway before you can tell whether it's even working. We've got to test, just trust me. We're in the testing phase. We're in the testing phase. You're always kind of just staying in the testing phase. The reality is ads just amplify whatever already exists in your business. If your offer isn't converting cold audiences at 5K a month organically, putting a few grand a month behind it in ad spend isn't going to fix the conversion rate. It's going to accelerate the leak, and you're going to be at a loss every single month. Most coaches come out of this experience with a lighter bank account and a distrust of paid ads in general, and the same positioning problem that they actually just had before. The agency wasn't really the problem. It's that the sequence was all wrong. Ads do work really, really well, but they belong at a specific point in the entire process. After you've got a working funnel, a qualifying mechanism, and a pre-call relationship, not before. If you're watching this and thinking, this is literally what I've been doing, and these are the experiences that I've had, then please just stay with me. The second half of this video is the flip, what the fix actually looks like. And if you want the full build, like I mentioned before, just skip the queue, hit the link in the description below, just steal the entire system for free. It's in the link somewhere in the description. I would keep sending everybody straight to a call. Keep running the same model, just keep running the direct model, content to DMs to sales call to hopefully a close. Stranger to client in one 45-minute conversation. Just learn objection handling, bro. Buy my high ticket closing course. 3 years ago, it worked really, really well. In fact, it's where I made the bulk of my money in the last 5 years. The buyer hadn't seen it before. They arrived curious, and you had the full call to build trust, establish authority, handle the objections, and then ultimately close. The 2025 buyer has been on 40 versions of this call, and in 2026, they know the structure. They know what's coming when you ask, so what does your ideal outcome look like? How long have you been struggling with this? They're not engaged. They know it. They get it. They smell it from a mile off. And they're doing it with 3 of your other competitors in all the tabs and conversations. So when you're doing all the selling on the call, your close rate becomes entirely dependent on how good you are under pressure with a cold enough stranger. That's a skill that takes years to develop, and most coaches just aren't there yet. So instead of getting better at sales or closing, they just get more anxious about calls. And the fix isn't necessarily better closing. It's building a pre-call relationship so the decision is mostly made before they ever pick up the phone. Simple. But let me move you on to tactic number 6. Sorry, number 5, I can't count. I would have you keep downloading and hoping. Just keep learning. There's always a new way. There's a new framework. There's a new school group. There's a new free training from someone who just hit their first 20K month and now teaches it. Download it, save it, screen record it, and add it to the folder. But what this creates is you never run anything long enough to build clean data. You can't tell what works because you've changed the input every 3 weeks and you're making business decisions based on whatever you consumed last Tuesday rather than what your numbers are actually showing you. Learning feels like progress, but it isn't. Not if nothing is being implemented and tested. The coaches I've watched plateau for years, they're not lazy. They're the most enthusiastic consumers of content in this space, and they know every framework. They've already tried that. They've just never committed to one long enough to see what actually happens. Let's move into the final tactic of this evil master plan. I would want you to keep thinking like a coach and not an operator. I'd make you feel warm and fuzzy that you just have to be a good coach. But this one underpins everything, every other point on this list. Just keep seeing yourself just as a coach and nothing else. Someone who helps people. Someone who's good at what they do and believes the work should speak for itself and only that. And the identity is not wrong. It's what makes you good at your job, but it will just not get you to 20K a month. 99% of coaches will never be able to do it this way. At 20K a month, you're not just delivering coaching, you're running a customer acquisition system, a conversion process, a fulfillment model, and a retention strategy. You're making data-led decisions about where the bottleneck is this week, where it could be next week, and where it's been the last quarter. You're looking at your lead volume, your show rate, your close rate, your LTV, and adjusting. Coaches react to their business, operators run it. And most people who've been stuck for 6 to 12 months haven't changed what they do. They haven't changed how they see themselves. And I see this constantly. Someone who wants to make 20K a month, but every decision they make is still coming from the 5K identity. Emotionally led, tactic driven, reactive. all about how much hustle you can be asked to put in for that day. You can't install a system on top of a mindset that constantly fights it. So that is the 6 point blueprint and my evil master plan to keep you stuck at anywhere between 5 and 10K a month in 2026. But the funny thing is, the fix for every single one of those is the same model, not 6 different solutions, just one. Instead of a DM grind, you want a lead flow that runs without you. Content and ads feeding an ecosystem that captures and nurtures before you've ever said a word. And instead of a setter, a bridging offer, a smaller trust jump that qualifies and builds trust at scale. And by the time somebody speaks to you, they've already bought something small, already experienced how you think, and already half decided. And instead of an agency, we just run lazy, ugly ads. One campaign, one angle, you run it yourself, you see what works, you do more of that. And instead of cold sales calls, we have ascension. Someone buys a bridge, they get value, they trust you, and they ultimately upgrade. The conversation on a call becomes a vibe check and not a pitch. But look, you might be thinking, now that's all well and good, but what am I actually supposed to do about it? Well, as I've mentioned, I've made it really easy for you. In the description, you'll see a link to a free school community. Yes, I know, another school community, but we don't really run it like one. It's all about action and implementation, and I'm not posting in there 10 times a day, hoping that you give me some love and attention to fuel my ego. It's a mini course. There's multiple mini courses in there, actually. You can just have them all. The one we're talking about today is a 6-parter called the Anti-High Ticket Funnel. It's the system that I run with my paying clients that's responsible for 5-figure jumps in revenue in 60 days. And you'll see examples of exactly that on the inside. So head over to the description, click the link, join the group, and actually put this system in place so that you don't get trapped in 2026. That is worst case scenario, just continuing to do the same thing over and over again, doing more volume and hoping that something ultimately changes. But we all know that it won't. So try something different, try the new way, a new way to warm and nurture leads, make sales seamless with less friction, and overall, a more enjoyable business.